Hello, and welcome to the second part of Umineko, episode 2, Turn of the Golden Witch. What day is it when this is coming out? I think it's the October 1st.
I got no clue.
No, it's Wednesday, October 2nd. That's when, that's today. In, the video. So,
Cool.
yeah, I'm ready. So after the introduction, I'm ready to get right into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at this.
Okay.
This is Jessica right here.
You start.
Let me just get comfortable right now.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, it's important to get comfortable when you're weeding
When you're weeding?
book. When you're weeding. Okay. What? What do you mean separate rooms? So wait, you and George stayed in different rooms on purpose?
Yes. Is it really so strange? Jessica's cheeks had been stuffed with a chocolate-coated Chinsoko biscuit that Shannon had brought as a present from Okinawa, and it all came flying out at Shannon when Jessica cried out.
Why? That's food spitting out. Why did you even go on a trip to Okinawa? You were even alone with George.
Well, he said there was a huge aquarium in Okinawa and invited me to go. And I like fish and stuff.
That's fucking retarded. No, that's not the point. We're talking about a healthy guy and girl going on an overnight trip, right? Why didn't you guys bang? and you're staying there, and you're saying there weren't even any hugs and kisses? And seriously, what's up with the guy and girl staying in different rooms?
As for kisses, no comment. But we did hug. George's chest was warm.
That's not the point. Jeez. Why do couples like this exist? Jeez. I can't take it anymore.
From Shannon's point of view, it was an incredibly happy trip for various reasons. But it looked like Jessica found their pace to be pretty irritating. For a while, Jessica chewed her present, complaining about romance and pretending to faint in agony on her bed. Shannon and George had chosen to go to Okinawa because there was a huge aquarium there. They did this because an aquarium had given them the opportunity to start going out. Since their relationship had started at an aquarium, having their first overnight trip also to an aquarium must have held some commemorative value.
It's like a huge commemorative turning point. And your first overnight trip, how could you not make all kinds of progress there? But instead, you both got separate rooms, a couple taking 2 single rooms. Oh, geez, seriously, what's wrong with you?
But we are both unmarried. George says showing restraint is good manners for a couple.
Like I said, the whole point of his overnight trips was so you could overcome that stage, right? You should be way beyond just kissing and hugging by now.
M'lady, I don't know what you mean by that, but George was a real gentleman with me until the end. That is, I also wondered if those things would happen, you know. But even though we are going out, it's not like we're married or anything. These things you seem to be expecting, should only be done after making a vow before God, Shannon's face got bright red. She made a circle with both hands, restlessly intertwining, separating, and making heart marks with them. Apparently, the dramatic progress Jessica had looked forward to hadn't happened, but it seemed to have been a very important experience for Shannon in her own way. In the end, whether Jessica was jealous of Shannon or made fun of her, it didn't change the fact that Shannon had a huge lead on her.
I want a boyfriend too. I can't believe you got ahead of me. A lowly servant. Even though we promised that we'd find boyfriends at the same time, you beat me. My lonely heart. I'm gonna go read fucking someone else.
You're a wonderful person, milady, so I'm sure you'll find someone wonderful much quicker than me.
Don't try to console me. Shannon, you traitor. Get out. Shut up.
Jessica threw several cushions at her, but midway she had an asthma attack and started to choke pretty badly.
Hey, that's me.
Shannon hurriedly ran over to a nearby side table and started searching around on top of it. A cute basket was placed there, and inside of it was Jessica's bronchodilator. Shannon picked it up and handed it over to Jessica. Jessica's asthma attacks always came suddenly. Because of that, she always needed to carry this medicine around. She breathed in the medicine and, after a while, managed to overcome her choking as her asthma finally settled down. Shannon thought this a good chance to leave and tried to exit the room after bowing courteously.
But no, I'll never allow you to leave.
As she did, one more small cushion came flying and hit Shannon on the head. She noticed that Jessica was on the verge of crying, half of her face buried in her last and favorite cushion. That face was red and meek. Milady.
Shannon, be honest with me. Is my hairdo and stuff weird?
What are you saying? I think your hair is very beautiful.
Then are my eyes strange? Or maybe my huge fucking nose? Or is it the way I talk after all the way I sound like a basic bitch? Or is it that I like Starbucks too much? Is that why I can't get a boyfriend?
Of course not. Milady, you are wonderful enough as you are, and I think your charm will keep on increasing more and more from now on.
But I'm the only one who can't find a boyfriend. Saku and Hina managed to get boyfriends, but only I can't. Is it because I don't have any charm after all? You know, everyone says they'll bring their boyfriends to the cultural festival, and I was so sure I'd have a boyfriend before then, so I started bragging. There's no way I'll get a boyfriend. I'm the only one.
Every single time that she says boyfriend, it gets funnier. Before she realized it, Jessica was shedding huge tears. Jessica didn't really feel like crying, and of course, she felt like supporting Shannon's progress and love as a friend. However, as she had cheered Shannon on, her true feelings had suddenly gone mixed in, and she couldn't help but shed tears. Shannon understood Jessica's innocent and easily injured heart. The rough style of speech Jessica usually used was all just an attempt to protect that fragile heart. As a daughter and successor to the Yoshiromiya family, and as a girl isolated on Rokkenjima, the only person she could expose her true feelings to was Shannon. Shannon understood that, so she strongly regretted acting smug even if it was only a little.
Sorry. I'm so weird crying like this. Sorry.
You are a wonderful person, milady. There's no way you won't find a wonderful man.
Shannon, it's about that time, right? If you don't go quickly, Genji and Mom will be mad, so you better go and fucking do your servant duties, you bitch! I'm just fine, so hurry up. Sorry for crying like this. I'm such a moron.
Jessica faced away, acting as though she didn't really want to trouble Shannon, waving her hand as though chasing Shannon away. Shannon took that as a sign that Jessica didn't want to be bothered anymore, bowed her head, and left the room. When Shannon's footsteps disappeared into the distance, Jessica lay down on her bed, still hugging a cushion. Her expression was still a little meek, with tears in her eyes, but for the first time in a long time, she had a very, very quiet and honest conversation with her heart.
I also want to fall in love. And that's it. That's all she said to her heart. No
That's
plan,
an honest
no
conversation.
anything. She just wants. That's all.
As Shannon happily watered the flower beds in the garden, she sensed someone's presence. I wonder who it is. She turned around, thinking that if one of the family had come to visit, she must greet them. But what she saw was that witch.
Oh, motherfucker.
But Beatrice? It's been quite some time. How are you? Has your relationship with the one you love progressed since last we met? As Beatrice sat on the rose ark, she happily blew on her pipe. Sitting in a place like that would crush the roses, and it might have been dangerous if the arch fell over. But this was a witch after all. Showing concern for her safety was probably a waste of time. Yes. Thanks to you, it's going smoothly. Naturally, the effects of my magic are immediate. Perhaps you feel your meeting was a predetermined fate. However, that is a mistake. Don't even think fate has anything to do with it. I understand that. The witch was calling attention to something. Two things, actually. First, that Shannon's relationship with George was a fate that would be absolutely impossible under normal circumstances. Second, that the power of the witch was great enough to overturn that fate. Shannon had just gone wrapped up in those sweet days, and had started believing the illusion that all fate revolved around her. But she remembered the witch's words. Originally, her relationship with George had been impossible. No, it might be impossible in the future as well. Ha 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 ha! Sorry, please forgive me. It's just like doctors. You cling to them when you're worried about your health, but after you're healed, you forget even to thank them. I've never been thanked as a witch, so I couldn't help acting a little rudely. Forgive me. The gratitude I feel has never slipped my mind. It's thanks to your power that I was able to achieve happiness, Beatrice. And without that power, the fate that brought me and George together would never have happened. I've never forgotten that. Sorry. It's not like I came here to bully you. Being rude is just part of my personality. Do forgive me. More importantly, I heard. So, you went on a trip alone with him. I imagine it must have been quite fun. Yes, it was very, fun. Shannon's face suddenly lit up. The witch laughed lightly, as though amused by the speed of that transformation. Already the one you care for is more than the object of one-sided love. You are a pair of lovers now. When two people are filled with love, nothing else is needed to establish a complete world. Perhaps you could call that a wonderful, ideal world. Even witches would be jealous. Beatrice laughed pleasantly. That smile made her look as though she blessed the lovers' rendezvous from the bottom of her heart, without a trace of malice. After that day, Beatrice had shown herself before Shannon every once in a while. Even now, Shannon thought of her as an unsettling being. However, she was also indebted to this person for the magic that led to her current relationship with George. So Shannon tried with all her might not to act surprised or scared. That's right. Beatrice, I bought some sweets as a souvenir from our trip. Would you, like to try some too? Oh, a souvenir for a witch! It seemed that even a witch who boasted of living for 1,000 years hadn't imagined she'd received a souvenir from a sweet lover's trip. When she saw that surprised expression, Shannon thought of this witch as a friend for the first time. Oh, an Eastern cookie made from wheat flour and lard. To wrap that in Western chocolate is truly a blending of the Japanese and Western styles, the Silk Road of sweets. What's so funny? Nothing. My apologies. This witch, who surely held a terrifying power, was chomping down on sweets one after another, making a sound like a squirrel stuffing walnuts into its mouth. After a while, Shannon couldn't conceal her laughter. A good meal. I should serve you some Dolce Vita from Nero one of these days. Roses are the symbol of eternal love. I believe a rose Dolce. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Deloche?
What?
I think it's
Deloche?
or some shit.
I believe.
Fucking, I don't know. I've seen that word.
Yeah,
before,
I believe a rose Deloche would be appropriate for you now. The witch was in a great mood, fully enjoying modern candy. Here. I truly am grateful. I believe you've done more than enough for me already, so I'm returning this. The thing Shannon had softly set on the table was a gold-colored butterfly brooch. There is no need to return it. If you continue holding that, your relationship should remain firm in perpetuity. Maybe it was the power of magic that brought us together, but I think only the two of us working together can turn that into something that lasts forever. Love and roses are the same. Too much fertilizer causes the roots to rot. Some flowers cannot be raised without hard work. In that case, do as you wish. You may wear it or keep it in a box. That is my goodwill given to you. Having you return it to me won't please me at all. My apologies. That's not what I... Ha 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 ha! No harm has been done. That brooch is already yours. If you treasure that proof of our friendship, it would indeed bring me some comfort. You may hold on to it and gain its benefits, or you may keep it in a box. If you wish, you may even give it to another who is worrying about love. Or you could simply treasure it. Of course, it would pain my heart if you wasted it. According to Beatrice, she had appeared several times in the past in response to a person's summons, to give them some tool imbued with magical power. However, when most people used that power to resolve their worries, they quickly grew unsettled by it, forgot their former gratitude, and threw away the tools they had been given with disgust. So it is quite rare for me to be thanked for my goodwill. In fact, this might even be the first time. Ha 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 ha. The witch laughed heartily, but it looked like a sad laugh in Shannon's eyes. She herself had been like that in the past. No, maybe she was still like that now. Beatrice was definitely a witch with a strange and terrifying power. Most people probably wouldn't want to stick around her if they could help it. Surely, even those who had relied on that strange power sometimes felt fear rather than gratitude as a result. It must have deeply hurt the witch to have that happen over and over. Since the time she had started thinking that way, Shannon had tried to stop being frightened of Beatrice. This was surely something that had tormented the witch for over 1,000 years. Maybe she really liked those sweets. Beatrice, who normally spoke abusively, praised the black tea that Shannon served her and looked to be in remarkably high spirits. After doing that for a while, the witch and the servant grew animated in their discussion of the trip with George. The things Shannon actually knew about Beatrice were surprisingly few. First off, she was a ghost-like being who appeared in unexpected places at unexpected times, and it seemed that not everyone could perceive that she was there. Apparently, everyone has something called a wavelength, and the ability to perceive witches varies greatly among different people. Only Shannon and Cannon could interact with her enough to exchange words like this. There were a few people who could sense her presence, but most people couldn't even feel that much. From what Beatrice said, Kraus and his wife in particular had zero magical talent, and no matter how much she followed them around, they would never notice her. Once earlier, when Shannon messed up and Natsui got really mad at her, Beatrice had started playing around, hitting Natsui on the head with her pipe. I see, Natsui really doesn't notice a thing. But Shannon, watching that, had burst out laughing without thinking and had gotten scolded even more. And that's why Natsui's got the headaches all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Then,
That's weird. That's funny. Also, I think you're cutting out for me even in the fucking phone call.
Oh. Am I...
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Am I cutting out right now?
Not right now.
Okay,
no,
my hand was on
like
top of my phone, so that might be why I was cutting out. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. Anyways, continue on.
Then, what about the master? I hear he's been doing research in magic, so I'm sure he'll be able to notice you, Beatrice. Kinzo is the same. He also has a pitiful lack of magical talent. It's the blood. He has so little talent that I pity him. As soon as they started talking about Kinzo, it felt like the atmosphere around Beatrice changed. She had spoken about Kraus and the rest's lack of magic talent, as though she looked down on them, but she spoke of Kinzo in a different way. Anyone connected to the Ushiromiya family would know about Kinzo's legend of the gold. According to that, Kinzo was given the gold after summoning the witch Beatrice. In other words, she must have had some kind of relationship with Kinzo. That was because he succeeded despite having not even a scrap of talent. He kept studying by himself like mad and managed to become a magician. And that's something really incredible, right? Indeed. The witch, who usually looked down on people, was uncharacteristically offering her praise. While she lambasted him by saying he had no talent, she praised his efforts. And then, the master summoned Beatrice with the power of magic. Indeed. Well, I only answered the summons on a whim. After all, in this period where magic has long been denied, here was a man who was without a scrap of talent, yet so desperate to succeed. I thought I'd drop by and poke some fun at him, and that's when my luck ran out. Her choice of words highlighted how much of a disaster this had been for her. Shannon hesitated over whether it would be safe to continue this discussion, but Beatrice continued on her own, ignoring Shannon. After all, his contract did have a proper format and set of rules. Various procedures were mixed up, but, well, in deference to his enthusiasm, I graciously accepted it. Then I gave him a mountain of gold. And then, the master used that gold and succeeded in business, and grew his wealth into what it is today. Indeed, his talent in magic was minimal, but it seems he had a knack for business and gambling. Or perhaps it was due to the bravery and madness that led him to risk everything on unreasonable bets. Madness sometimes acts as magical power. I see. If you look at it that way, perhaps it isn't quite fair to say he was completely lacking in magical talent. Shannon felt like she was daydreaming. While everyone in the Ushiromiya family knew the story of how Kinzo idolized black magic, summoned a witch, and received the gold, in actuality it was all rambling that no one believed in. And now Shannon was having this story confirmed by the witch herself. She felt a little flustered by this incredible secret that only she knew. Once Kinzo gained his vast fortune, he could realize every dream that can be satisfied by objects obtainable in the human world, and in the end, he searched for the truth of this world. The truth of this world? The single element that makes up the world. Kinzo, who had gained everything one can obtain in the human world, searched for that, the final desire humans seek. The single element. She seemed to remember the witch using that word before. When Beatrice saw Shannon trying to remember what that was, she laughed bitterly, waving her hand and saying there was no need to worry. I underestimated Kinzo just a tad. I truly didn't expect him to display such power. And thanks to that, I'm in this state. I've been sewn in place on this island for several decades now, without even a friend to drink tea with. No matter whom I try to talk to, my voice doesn't reach them, and no matter where I go, I cannot do anything. Such boring decades. As she laughed in self-derision, she tapped her teacup with her finger. It made the light sound of pottery. Shannon didn't know whether the word self-derision was really an accurate expression to describe the look on the witch's face. Shannon didn't understand everything, but she could more or less figure out the situation, and it was probably a topic that she couldn't press the witch on easily, not unless the witch started talking about it herself. To sum up everything she had said up until now, Beatrice, who had been summoned by Kinzo's magic, could not leave this island for some reason, and she had lost her power and her form, living her days in boredom. During that time, her words had reached Shannon, who never forgot to show sincere respect for the witch, and Shannon had helped the witch regain her power, if only a little bit. As a result, it was now possible for the witch to drink tea with Shannon like this. Beatrice, what in the world was that mirror you told me to break? Ah, that. Long ago, it seems various things happened on the islands around this area. Because of that, malignant forces gathered here and began to draw an evil distortion. It seems a traveling Eastern magician or something built a shrine for the repose of souls and sealed them in there. That in itself has nothing to do with me, but unfortunately, that magical power rested on a different foundation than mine. It created a strong interference with my magic and was extremely bothersome. Is that how it was? And I just assumed it existed only to seal you, Beatrice. I was not its target, but it was a divine mirror, and as a result my power was sealed away. To use food as an example, maybe it would go something like this. Let's say the Western food I ordered is being made in the kitchen. However, when they try to set the table, the area for the guest seating is in the Japanese style with Japanese-style dishes. So the kitchen...
Yeah, you're cutting out again.
So the kitchen is unable to...
Yeah,
I'm cutting out again?
No, you're not.
Well,
I don't know.
There.
It seems that when I try to tell you that you're cutting out, you can't hear it.
Oh, well, the recording's fine.
Alright.
So the kitchen is unable to serve a plate that would be out of place, and no matter how long I wait, my Western food won't arrive. Something like that. So, you destroyed that Japanese-style guest seating and returned the area to a blank slate for a time. Thanks to that, the meal I ordered was finally delivered, and my power came back, you could say. However, so far, only the aperitif has arrived. It will still be quite some time before the main dish. As I am now, I'm even more fragile than a shoe store fairy. Poofed. Ha 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 ha. Huh? What's so amusing? Nothing. I just thought your metaphor was pretty funny. I never would have thought to use a story about food as a metaphor for magic. I thought it rather skillful comparison, but I certainly didn't expect it to be laughed at. I'm a bit offended. A slightly sulky expression rose to the witch's face. It wasn't a strange expression at all to be appearing on the face of some friends as they enjoyed their tea. Although I may not look it, I was known for doing extremely brutal things in the past. I've gotten soft. Now I can even have a foolish discussion while drinking tea with a human. She was probably talking to herself. As Beatrice gazed at the seabirds tracing the horizon, she put her tea to her lips again. The clouds have come out. When the ocean loses its brilliance, it's nothing more than a gray puddle. You think so? I think the ocean is a beautiful deep blue, even when it gets cloudy. Humph. Maybe the witch noticed the deep meaning behind Shannon's words. She laughed lightly and set down her empty teacup. It seems those things buried in your eyes aren't black pebbles anymore. How is it? Do you see how it feels for furniture to be reborn as a human? Yes. I never knew the world was this kind. Since the start of her relationship with George, Shannon's face had grown brighter more often. Her smile had made everything go smoothly and had even changed her fortune. Shannon made less mistakes in her work than she had before, and the family members' opinion of her was slowly starting to change. Just the other day, she had been surprised when Kraus, who rarely exchanged words with her, had suddenly started talking to her.
Oh, shit. You've been wearing a splendid smile more often lately, haven't you? Has something good happened?
No, but every day is fun, yes?
Huh. Wonderful. It goes without saying that coffee is more delicious when poured with a smile. Could I ask for that smile once more, you pretty young thing?
Yes, sir. That had become a chance for Shannon to gain confidence in herself. Of course, it didn't go beyond her own heart, and it wasn't so big a change that anyone would notice. But she had begun to change, bit by bit. Shannon understood it clearly. Knowing love was the same as gaining a soul. The same as being reborn, from furniture into a human. There was absolutely nothing mistaken in Beatrice's words. By knowing love, Shannon had learned what it was to be human. These have been unusual snacks. It was time well spent. It's probably about time for you to return to your work, so let us end our tea party now. After all, it seems a certain person doesn't like seeing us drink tea together. Huh? The witch gripped a teaspoon and flipped it with her fingers, sending it up in the air. After that, it was launched by the fingers of some invisible person and flew straight into a nearby bush. The bush shook violently and Cannon came out. It seemed he had been there for some time, watching their tea party. The spoon was gripped in his hand. If he hadn't caught it in an instant, it might have hit him hard in the forehead and caused him to start oozing blood. Do not worry. Our tea party is over now, Cannon. How long were you there? If you had called to us, I'd have poured you some tea too. I imagine that you didn't want to interrupt a pair of women talking, right? Ha 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 ha. Cannon kept silent, but there seemed to be a slightly hostile look in his eyes. On the outside, he acted with respect, but unlike Shannon, Cannon did not trust the witch. When Beatrice hit the table with her pipe, the tea set turned into gold butterflies, which flew upwards all at once. They then scattered in every direction, and the cleanup was already done. It was fun, Shannon. Let us meet again if the chance arises. My magical power is still quite lacking. It's tiring even to show myself. If you're that tired, never appear again. Cannon had said it in a small voice, but the witch seemed to have heard it perfectly. She giggled but did not reply. Shannon, tell me more about George at our next tea party. There are no snacks sweeter than a person's love life. Ha 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 ha. See you again. Beatrice's body also became gold butterflies, which scattered in all directions and disappeared. It was a fantastical and beautiful scene, like a blizzard of gold leaf. For a while, Shannon quietly watched the witch's exit. Cannon approached her from behind and spoke with an expression that was drastically different from hers. Naysan, didn't I tell you to stay away from her? Beatrice isn't that bad of a person. Yes, she might be a little shady, but... The fact that only we can see her is suspicious enough. That thing isn't human. Who knows what she might be planning? Cannon, I think that's a little rude. There was a touch of sternness in Shannon's voice, which was unusual for her. To Cannon, who knew her well, she must have sounded extremely stern. Cannon, looking excessively surprised considering Shannon's tone, fell silent. It's true that Beatrice is different from humans. She has a terrifying power, so I think it's right for us to fear and respect her. Still, I think it's incredibly rude to despise her just because she isn't human. I understand what you're trying to say. You've changed ever since she gave you that brooch. It's like you're her prisoner. She brought you and George together, and now you're indebted to her. Don't say things like that. That thing isn't human. We don't know what she's thinking, so you mustn't trust her. And we aren't humans either, Naysan. Cannon's words grew more serious. Those words probably gouged at Shannon's heart. She bit her lower lip and hung her head. We are furniture. Even if we receive names and are treated as humans, that won't change the manner of our birth. You are no longer furniture. Those words Beatrice had given her, which had made her happiest, floated through Shannon's mind. I am not furniture. No, you are furniture. We are less than human. You're just pretending to have forgotten, pretending to be human. You know that as well as I do. I am not furniture. I'm human. No, you aren't. We have never possessed what it takes to love or be loved. Cannon's criticism seemed to have shifted away from Shannon's meetings with the witch. Shannon picked up on that quickly. I heard from my lady. Seriously, what were you thinking? I can't believe you would go on a trip with George. You've forgotten your place as furniture. You've just been tempted by that witch, mistakenly believing that you've become human. Listen, Cannon. It's true that we're furniture. Lesser beings, inferior to humans. But if it were possible to make up for what we lack, wouldn't that be the same as becoming human? Such a thing could never happen. No, it could. If we can do that, we won't be furniture anymore. We can become human. Ridiculous. As if you could ever do such a thing. Cannon spat those words out, but did so weakly and turned away. He was probably giving up. After all, the suffering he'd undergone during those days he'd lived as furniture, his heart was firmly sealed. You can do it too, Cannon. You can become a normal human. Stop it. That's the witches talking. Yes, Beatrice taught me. By obtaining the single element of this world, we can become human. Or rather, nobody's human if they don't have that. That's why people spend their entire lives trying to gain that single element. I don't understand what you're saying, Nasan. I don't want to listen to ranting. Then I'll teach it in a way even you can understand. Look, see what I'm pointing at? Shannon quietly pointed at the sea towards the horizon. Cannon didn't understand what she meant and couldn't do anything except look between the horizon and Shannon's expression, which seemed to be posing a riddle. The sea. Cannon, what color does the sea look to you? It was an extremely simple question. For a while, Cannon tried to guess at the meaning behind it, but he couldn't think of anything, so he answered obediently. It's a hazy, dark gray color. So what? Objectively speaking, the sea laid out beneath a cloudy sky could probably be best described by Cannon's words. But as Shannon closed her eyes and smiled, she shook her head slightly. It looks deep blue to me. Is that what you mean? Like how Japanese people use the word blue to refer to a green traffic light? No, the sea is deep blue. If I understand and you don't, then that's the difference between us. Cannon bit his lower lip and was silent for a while. I don't understand. Cannon, would you stick out your hand? As Cannon was taken aback, unable to understand what she was saying, she took his arm and opened the palm of his hand. Shannon softly set something there. It was that magic brooch, which she had received from Beatrice, a magic charm shaped like a gold butterfly that could bring love to fruition. This is hers? No, this is mine, so think of it as me and treat it with respect, okay? After being spoken to like that, he couldn't just throw it away. Cannon didn't know what he should do, and he stood there confused for a while, the brooch still on the palm of his hand. Shannon put the palm of her hand on top of Cannon's, and the brooch was warmed by both of their hands. This charm holds true magical power. I'm sure it'll teach you an important emotion, Cannon. There's nothing to be learned from that person's magic. No, there is something. So wear it. If that's embarrassing, I hear it's okay if you just hide it in your pocket. Ridiculous. As if I'd let the magic of that person lead me astray. Even as he said that, Cannon couldn't be cold-hearted towards something Shannon was urging him to take. In the end, Cannon took it, and agreed reluctantly, saying he'd prove that he wouldn't surrender to the witch's power. Shannon smiled and nodded back. I'm sure you'll be able to learn something important from it, and I'm sure you can become human, and when you do, I'm sure this ocean will look like a beautiful blue to you as well, Cannon. Gray is gray no matter how many times you look. That's wrong, Cannon. It only looks like that because you have no... Beep.
Oh, fuck off. Don't even do... Fuck off. Just tell me what the fuck it is. God.
Because of the howling wind, he hadn't been able to catch the main point of what she just said. So Shannon said it once more. The single element of the world. She spoke once more of the world where it existed, where the sea was deep blue. I'm sure you'll be able to see a deep blue ocean too. After all, without love, it cannot be seen.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that's what...
Also, that's her argument for becoming human, like how something not human can become human. That's a functionalist. That's like a philosophically functionalist perspective. It's like if something emulates what a human is perfectly, then it is human. So that's what Shannon's like. But Cannon's more like a a determinist in
Yeah.
that sense, which is pretty cool. I like how I can relate this back to what I've actually learned.
Oh yeah,
It's really awesome.
there's a lot of philosophy in this.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind fucking analyzing this, dude. That'd be fucking awesome. Like I don't know, dude. Anyways. Who is that?
It is canon, master. It was rare for Kinzo to leave his study. However, the fact that he had didn't mean his noble research had been suspended. He may have left the study because of a change in mood, but that didn't mean the thoughts filling his head were any different from those he had while inside the study. Cannon knew that no matter what the time, speaking to Kinzo when he didn't want to be spoken to would always disturb his research.
It's cloudy out there. Will it get worse?
Yes, according to the weather report, it could rain at any time. Shall I bring an umbrella?
It will not come to that. Leave me alone for a while. If my children ask, say that you do not know where I am. I am busy on a journey through my own thoughts.
Certainly. Then, if you would excuse me. Before Cannon finished bowing, Kinzo had already returned to his own world, having forgotten Cannon's presence completely. And once again he began rambling to himself. Amidst those words, the name of that witch popped up many times.
Oh, Beatrice, my hand will not reach your smile. What can I do to revive you? What can I do to make you smile at me once more? What is lacking? My research, my materials, my catalyst? Or is it magical power or luck or an oracle? Oh, Beatrice, what can I do to see your face one more time? Oh.
As Cannon listened to his master's weeping voice with his back turned, he turned around just once. When he did, right behind his isolated old master was the shadow of a person who shouldn't have been there. It was the witch. At once, thinking that the witch must be plotting to do Kinzo some harm, Cannon dashed back to Kinzo and tried to form a shield with his body. But when he saw the expression on the witch's face, that emotion of his vanished. After all, Beatrice's expression was sorrowful, or maybe pitying. You fool, Kinzo. Can't you see me, even though I am here? Right behind Kinzo, as he repeated the witch's name over and over, desiring to be reunited with her more than anything else, was the witch herself. And yet, Kinzo didn't notice anything. When Beatrice tried to rest her hand on his shoulder, he didn't notice.
Why does my hand not reach Beatrice's smile? Is it the age of the moon? The cycle of the comets? The alignment of the planets? What is lacking? What is?
It's useless, Kinzo. Without love, it cannot be seen. Cannon took the brooch he had received from Shannon out of his pocket. By learning something new, would he become able to glimpse something he couldn't see now? Without love, it cannot be seen. He looked at Kinzo's back once more. The witch could no longer be seen there.
Nice.
Nice.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yep.
So, I'm imagining Cannon's probably going to give the brooch to Kinzo.
Maybe. That would be pretty cool.
Whoa, what the fuck is this? Another date? Oh, no.
A what?
It better not be another date. I don't want to fucking do another date. God damn it. It better fucking not be. I want to solve the murder mystery.
Okay.
I know that there's some cool stuff. I know that there's some cool murder mystery stuff right here in, like, the love scenes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a shit ton
like,
of clues. There's a shit ton of clues here. I'm just going to tell you that. But, I also want to ask, was my phone cutting out after that last time?
Yeah, I did a little bit, but not for
Okay,
as
because
long.
I put my phone higher so that it wouldn't be as blocked by things. Yeah, so.
Okay. It could also just be like me. I don't know. Or it could be either your
No,
phone,
because
my phone,
I hear
or
your phone
anything in
fine.
between.
So I you.
Well, when it's cutting out, you can't hear
Oh,
me.
you were
Yeah.
talking when it cut out and I didn't hear.
I relayed to you that I couldn't hear you, and then all of a sudden, after I said it like a second time, you were like, "Oh, can you hear me now?" And I was like, "Well, yeah."
Oh well, sure. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to listen back to the
I
recording.
think it's fine as long as I can like catch up.
Huh?
As long as it's not for too long, I'll still be able to like click with you reading
Okay.
it for the
Awesome.
most part. But yeah.
Well, let's stop this recording and we'll be back on Friday.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
See you guys. See you guys later for more fucking love
Yeah.
bullshit instead of murder mystery.
Another date. Well, what was that? Kyrie said in the first one that love stories are better mysteries than mysteries because you can't. It's hard to figure out the opposite sex or whatever.
Yeah, but fuck figuring out them.
Okay. See everyone later.
Alright, see you guys.